to everyone. Obviously, we are in a Starbucks. We are in the Starbucks on 101 because you can't get into a Starbucks at the mall right now this early in the morning. But anyway, I wanted to come down here. I came down here yesterday, and Barista Beer was here, but she's not here today, and that's okay. She's allowed a day off. Today we got a kind of wild subject. We're going to delve into the seen and unseen dangers and dark realities of life in Thailand, and also, to a lesser extent, in Cambodia, two popular tourist destinations here in Southeast Asia. We're going to talk about corruption, loan sharking, human trafficking, gambling, and the criminal element that exists in the shadows of these countries. And, you know, we know they're there, and some people may have experiences with them. I've had a few here and there, but I've managed to distance myself from that kind of a lifestyle. I don't want to be involved in that, and it is possible to distance yourself. So let's just make that straight right away. And the reason that we're discussing this, there's two reasons. First, to save your asses. Not that you need ass saving, but perhaps you may. So the other is that I recently watched two documentaries. And these documentaries were about Finnish junkies from Finland. And if you're a member of my channel, or my VIP member of my channel, or a VIP member of my website, or a Patreon patron, both of these videos are up now. These guys wanted desperately to get away from where they were living, and basically they survived on welfare and by stealing. And their welfare was pittance. I mean, it was something like $150 a month or something. It was really pretty poor. I thought it would be better, but considering it was Finland. But so they used to do all kinds of things. One of the guys stole 5,000 euro. He got away with it at least long enough to be able to get out of the country. He was so happy, and he made his way around Europe. And then eventually, I think it took them about 7 years or so, 8 years, something like that, they made their way to Thailand and Cambodia. And that's why I watched, there's two, like I said, documentaries. The first is their life in Finland, and their life as junkies, and it just showed their struggle in daily life and everything, and their desire to get away and have a better life, like a lot of people. But the second documentary, which was more like a 45-minute documentary. The other one was like an hour and a half. The second one dealt with their time in Thailand and Cambodia, and it showed a few things that some people, they never experience. If you're just going to the temples during the day, and you're going to have very interaction with in this kind of a lifestyle. But if you're hanging out late at night in some of the seedier areas, your chances are better. But all the while they were using basically any drug that they could get their hands on. They liked Subutex, which I hadn't heard of in a long time, and also speed, and then shooting heroin. So they were into some heavy duty stuff. They were clearly past, oh, I want to smoke a doobie or something like that. They were much past that stage. And the last documentary, where they eventually end up in Cambodia, it gives a little insight in just how dark and really pretty evil a person's situation can get when you're using hardcore drugs. You're getting involved with the wrong people, where there is rampant poverty and culture. The culture is much different than your own. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how both countries, how these things happen, how what I'm talking about, the darker part of the countries. But before I go any further, if you end up enjoying the stream, or you enjoy it already, or you enjoy the channel, please remember to give a thumbs up. Also, if you have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. I would much appreciate it. Remember to click the notification bell. Apparently that helps. If you want to help support the channel and everything that I do, whatever it is that I do, whether it's a talk show, discussion, or traveling around, whatever it might be, there are numerous ways to do so. All are shown down below in the description. Today's shout outs go to CJ Digital, Mr. Tokyo Sam, and also Mr. Mike Clinton. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. Now, before I get into this whole topic, you know, yesterday I got my hair cut, and usually this is not a big deal, right? I've been talking about how the prices of haircuts have gone up over the years. Here, they've gone up quite dramatically. And so yesterday I go to the place that I usually go, and it's still 100 baht. It hasn't gone up to 120 at this place. And I go in, and there's a guy and this elderly lady. And I think the guy's going to cut my hair, but he's on his way out the door. He's got to go, so the elderly lady. And I tell her, listen, just shave my head. She goes, oh, you want skinhead? I said, yes, just give me the skinhead, right? That's what they call it. So she shaves my head, and in the course of her shaving my head and you know, doing what she does, we begin to talk, and she asked me, you know, how long you been in, the usual questions. How long you been in Thailand? Are you married? Do you have kids? Blah, blah, blah. So then I turned it around and said, what about you? Now she's pushing 70, 75 years old. She's an older woman. But you could tell she was, I mean, from the looks of things, you never know, but she seemed like a very sweet, elderly lady. Now, you know, who knows, but that's what she seemed like to me. I said, what about you? You got, you know, husband, kids, what's going on in your life? And she says, oh, no, I don't have, I've never been married, I don't have any kids. I said, okay, why not? You didn't want anybody, or you just like being alone? Oh, no, I don't want to be alone. I said, well, then what happened? She said, every guy that I ever met, they were not true. They were not true to me. I always caught them screwing around. I said, okay. I said, so you don't have anybody? She's like, no, not really. But I do have this one foreigner who I'd speak with all the time. I've been talking to him for about 6 months. I said, oh, wow, okay. Well, that's good. How many times has he been here? When is he coming? Does he live here? What's the deal? No, he doesn't live here, and he's never been here. I've never met him. And very quickly, it became apparent. She showed me this guy's Facebook profile. She showed me, you know, messages where he's telling her that he loves her so much. And I see his name on the Facebook, which is how Thais, you know, a lot of Thais like to communicate with Facebook. And I immediately went, something's not right. Then I said, well, where is he from? And then, you know, she goes, oh, he's from California. I said, really? Oh, well, that's good. So he's an American. Yes, he's an American. He's from California. Manchester, California. He loves Manchester football. And I said, Manchester's not in California. And she's like, really? Oh, hi. She didn't care. And so here's a reverse situation. I don't know. I don't want to blame any nationality, but you know, there are certain ones that this is one of their main sources of revenue in the country. And that's what I think it was. I think this somebody was trying to scam her out of her whatever money she has. And you know, good morning, John. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear and see everything okay. I felt bad for her. And I thought about telling her, listen, this is not reality. I wanted to tell her, Manchester, you know, I did say Manchester's not in California. There's a Lancaster, but I don't know of any Manchester in California. And I used to live in California. But I didn't want to push it. I just go, oh, Manchester in California. I don't know. I didn't think there was a Manchester in California. Oh, yeah. She's like, sometimes he will call me and I can't understand him. I said, really? And she speaks a little English. And she said, I can't understand him. So, you know, without going into this too much, the foreigners are not the only ones being scammed by people here in Thailand. And I really felt bad for her, but I didn't. She was so, I can't wait for him to come. He'll be here soon. And I'm not sure when. He keeps saying he's going to come, but his business, he's so busy. He's so busy. I said, what does he do? I don't know. And I just said, okay. She very clearly, it was Manchester because Manchester United. Oh, he loves Manchester United. He's a big football fan. He's into Manchester. I said, so is he into Manchester and he lives in Manchester? Yeah, he lives in Manchester. I didn't have the heart to like tell her, honey, I think you're being played. You know, who's it for me to say? So, you know, like I said, there's just, you know, it happens, and you got to be careful. And this is why I used to have a buddy. I haven't seen him in years now, but he used to tell me, everybody in the world is full of shit, and maybe there's 1%, and they're not completely full of shit. And I used to think, wow, that's a really pessimistic way to look. That's a jaded viewpoint. But if you go in that trust needs to be earned, now how is he earning her trust? By talking to her on the phone? He's probably got some, you know, he's talking to her on Facebook. It doesn't cost him anything. He's already got the, what do you call it? The internet, the interweb. So, you know, I don't know. It's, I felt bad, and I was like sitting there going, I don't know what to do. And there have been two people that they had girlfriends, and I knew their girlfriends, and I knew them, and I knew them pretty well. And I saw the girl out with another guy, and they were clearly, you know, one of the girls was dancing, and, you know, kissing the guy, and the other was walking to the, what do you call it, the escalator, and they were holding hands, and they were rubbing up against each other. So I was like, wow, should I tell my friends? Of course. So I did. Now, neither of them was very happy to hear this information, and they weren't very happy. I was the messenger, and they didn't shoot me, but it was not the most wonderful thing that I had to do. It was a very difficult thing for me to do, and I'm sure it was difficult for them to. This guy, I can tell you that this guy is not from Manchester in California. There's just no way. No way. And he had that classic, you know, like, you never would hear a name like this unless it was some phony scam. You know. Mr. George John, you know, or something like that. You know, I mean, it's like, come on, let's get real. Anyway, moving on. All right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to the, what is it called? The Mon Festival. I'd like to go, but I got a lot of things that happened, and I will tell you, I did come here yesterday, as I said, and Beer was here, said hello. She was very happy that I came all the way over here, which is not that far. It's a 5-10 minute on the motorcycle, which is about the same as to go to the Mall Bankaby. Afterwards, I went down the street, flew my drone, and then I went down to the other, past the Mall Bankaby, and I got a lot of footage. And then something happened. I didn't have the hood over the controller that has your, has the phone. And the phone went dark because of the sun, because I had the auto brightness on. Big mistake. In the meantime, my battery is running low. And it's telling me, hit auto return. I hit auto return, and the battery was so low that it said, sorry, we can't find a place to land. You need to, I'm paraphrasing. Can't find a place to land. You're going to need to land this yourself. And I could barely see that it was right in front of Tesco Lotus. So I'm like, okay, I'm right around the corner. I got to do it. And I'm trying to look, but my phone is like black. So I'm flying blind. And I just could see just a little, and I thought, oh, there's a pole. I gotta get out of the way. I moved out of the way of the pole, and then I kind of turned back. Next thing I know, I hit the Tesco Lotus pole. I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. I hit the Tesco Lotus pole. The drone was about 30 feet up in the air. It went kaboom, went down. So now I need to buy the top plastic piece and the center plastic piece, and I didn't know it until this morning, but I need to buy the battery cover. So that's about $75. Plus, I need to get somebody to make sure that they put it all together correctly, because there's the gimbal. There's a little rubber piece missing, and it's not so. All in all, that's good. That money that I'm going to have to spend on the drone is the money that I was going to spend to go to the Mon Festival. And well, I'd love to go to the Mon Festival. There are a couple other places I can go in a few weeks, and I'll be able to do it. And I learned a valuable lesson. Don't have your auto brightness on, and if it's really, really bright, use the freaking hood that they give you, which I never do. I never have really, but it pays to do that because of the glare, and because that freaking iPhone, it automatically adjusts the brightness on your phone, and it went all the way down. It was pitch black. I couldn't see anything, and I'm like trying to fly, and I'm going, last I saw it was here. I don't want to hit anything. I should go up. I go up. The next thing I know, boom. I'm really bummed about it, but fortunately, I can get the pieces that I need, and I know an old guy that will put together, do everything for me, and he won't charge an arm and a leg, but still, it's going to end up costing me 4,000 or 5,000 baht. So, anyway, all right, let's talk the dark side of Southeast Asia here, because I got a lot of information and not much time. Because, like the professional that I am, I forgot my charging cable in case the battery goes low, which is like the second time I've done that in 3 streams, and I've got about 6 charging cables. You would think I would just put one in the bag or something so I never forget it. Now, the dark side. In Thailand and Cambodia, it encompasses a variety of social and economic issues. Poverty, corruption, human trafficking, exploitation, gambling, many, many things. And I'm going to tell you towards the end of this stream, I'm going to give you a few tips, some of which you've heard before, but some maybe you haven't, about how not to get yourself in trouble here. Because, for some people, they're coming here, you're young. You haven't experienced all that much in the world. You're not that jaded. You come here, you're 22 years old. You're some chick going, oh, I'm going to go to Thailand. Wow, woo, I'm so happy. And you don't understand it. Yes, For the most part, it is a very safe place. But if you get involved in with the wrong people, you say the wrong things, you start like, oh, you know what? Nobody's gonna know I'm doing these drugs, or nobody's gonna care. Me and my friends are doing them. Everybody's doing them. And I'll give you one example of a place in Thailand that has a really bad reputation, and I don't even really want to go there, and that's Koh Tao. And Koh Tao, which is Turtle Island. I don't know how popular it is now, but it used to be very popular, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. But there have been, in the past, say 10 years, there have been a lot of high-profile cases of violence and murder involving tourists on the island. In 2014, 2 British tourists, Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, were murdered on the island, and a couple of Burmese guys were blamed, and they are awaiting be put to death. They got the death sentence. This case sparked international attention and raised concerns about safety for the tourists in the area, and since then there have been additional reports of violence and crime on the island, and some travelers have reported feeling uneasy or unsafe. Now, this is not just one person. There are numerous instances where people have reported this, and also journalists have checked around and they've done their research, and it's a place that allegedly is controlled by criminal elements, and extortions are common on the islands. So there is cause for concern in a place like Koh Tao, but every place in Thailand, even the small villages, some people run afoul because they gamble, they borrow money from loan sharks, and the rates are exorbitant, and they can't pay them back, and so there's a lot of problems. I don't know who this chick is smiling at, but Swadee Cup. Hello.
My boyfriend here watching you.
Oh, really? Who's your boyfriend?
John.
John S. Oh, okay. He lives over here. Oh, you want to say hello? You can be in. What's your name?
My name Pui.
Pui.
Yes.
Oh, Swadee Cup.
Swadee ka.
I was wondering, she's looking at me. I thought, do I know her? Why is she looking at me? I thought, she looking at somebody else? What are you doing? He could have come too.
Yeah, but he just wake up.
Oh, he just woke up. Okay. You watch also?
Yes.
Really? Wow. All right, I'm happy.
Okay, I go school now.
Okay. Bye-bye now. John says, hello, babe. All right. Okay, well, that was nice. Thanks, John, and thanks to Pui for coming in and saying hello. So obviously there's a lot of problems. As many good things that take place here, there is definitely a dark side. And in Cambodia, man, there's some evil shit going on in Cambodia, and I don't mean that it's prevalent everywhere and you always have to be scared, but you gotta watch what you're doing. You gotta mind your P's and Q's. One of the things, and I wasn't sure of this, but in Cambodia, one of the big problems in the villages is the fear of black magic and sorcerers. And this is a very real fear, okay? 9 years ago, a Cambodian man was decapitated in a frenzied attack by villagers after he was accused of being a sorcerer. And this time last year, just a year ago, 5 members of a family of the indigenous Bunong, including 2 5-year-old children and a teenager, whose killers claimed to believe were sorcerers. That attack also left a 12-year-old boy seriously injured. So you don't want to joke around like, oh, I am magic, I am black magic, you better be scared of me. They take it very, very seriously. Just like some Thais take it very seriously, ghosts. They take ghosts very, very seriously. They truly believe in it, and that's what I mean about the cultures being different. You know. So you're gonna have to be careful about that. But let's get to the general problems, which we at least the more experienced people in this stream know about already. Things like gambling, corruption, elitism, which people don't talk about all that much. The police, including corruption, or the lack of, or the inaction by police, especially in Cambodia, where you want something done, it costs money. Now they're trying to fix that, but you know, when the police don't make much money and they don't have a motivation for going after someone because it involves a hell of a lot of work and they're making a pittance, that's why they do what they do. Doesn't make it right, but of course drugs are a big problem, a huge problem. Poverty. But you know, poverty is a symptom of some of these darker aspects, and the same with drugs. If you have no hope, and I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I'm talking to my wife about the motorcycle drivers and how a lot of them, they just are clueless. It's like, sir, where are you going? Can you look at the app, because I'm not sure of the name of this place, but I have the address. Oh. And you know, when you've got that lack of, we'll just say, that detachment from what you need to know, what you should know, I think, what kind of life do some of these people have? I mean, you got some guy that's grown up on a rice farm all his life, and he doesn't know anything else, and he can barely get an education if he gets one. What kind of life is the guy going to have? And he sees all these things about people having, you know, it's the same that happens, it happens all over the place. I'm not just pinning this on Thailand or Cambodia or anywhere else in Southeast Asia. But when you got no hope, you know, you're going to do just about anything. So I understand what they do. Now, Pattaya is a place, obviously, that's known for the nightlife and the beaches and the, you know, the entertainment scenes. But there is, of course, a dark side here, and also, like in Phuket, organized crime. We'll say human heavy traffic, we'll say, and also exploitation of workers and females. If you're on a border town, and I've been to a few border towns and been to a few seedy places in my day, it's been a long time, but you know, think about how it was 25, 30 years ago. And you're in one of these areas and you go, oh wow, look at this, is a bar here, let me go in here. And you go in, you're the only foreigner in the place. And you look around, you can tell what's up. It's pretty clear. You know, it's not like the people are, let's put it this way, the people live on the premises. And it's not because they want to, it's because they owe money. Something else that's a big problem here in Thailand is the fishing industry. Now, it's gotten a little bit better, but there are numerous issues, including human right abuses and environmental degradation. But there's a lot of forced labor, and a lot of the workers come from Myanmar, Cambodia. And what happens is, just like women get lured to another country, like Filipinos going to Dubai or Thai people to some other places, where they get lured with the promise, oh, you're going to be a maid and there you're going to make $2,000 a month. And we'll put you in a place to live and you won't have to pay for anything. Or you're going to work in this kind of a job, and then you get to the place and they go, no, you're not. You're working in a brothel. And they are basically locked away. They're not allowed to go anywhere. I've seen it in Myanmar. You just in straight massage places. You go into a straight massage place in certain places in Myanmar, and you know, the family might have borrowed $1,000, and the girls have to work it off. It might take them 5 years to 10 years to work that off because of the interest that is accumulated. Because they don't charge them, 3 or 4%, 7% interest. They're charging them 25% interest or 20% interest a month. Even in boxing, I was very surprised. Even in boxing, a lot of the promoters may charge 10% a month on the money that they forward to they front to their fighters. They'll give them, so if the fighter's supposed to make 100,000 baht, they'll give them 100,000. They'll go, all right, we'll give you 50,000. Every month, they have to pay 5,000 interest on that. Now, what happens if the fight gets postponed? Oh, I need some more money. Give me another 25,000. And so, so it goes. Like I said about the fishing industry, environmental degradation, that's a big problem, and poor working conditions. Listen, you go out on the street and you watch any street vendor, and most of them are there early in the morning, or you go into a market, any fresh market, early in the morning, from early in the morning to late at night, or at least late in the afternoon. They're not working 5 days a week, 8-hour days, or they're not working 32 hours a week or something like that. Some of these people are working every single day. They might get 1 or 2 days off a month, and they're working 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. Now, some of them, they are sole proprietors and they're doing it because they want to make more money, and that's okay. But there are some people who are in a position where they are just forced to do that, and there's nothing they can do about it. So that's something out. And then the lack of government regulation. Let's face it, the government, for whatever reason, I don't know what the government does here. I don't know what the government does in Cambodia, because it seems to me that they have ample time, ample manpower to be able to handle these kind of things, and yet they don't. Now, there have been some improvements in both countries, but especially in Thailand. There's been a lot of improvements over the years, but it's still not good enough in many ways. One of the biggest challenges facing Phnom Penh is poverty and inequality. The inequality is huge. There are still large numbers of people living in poverty, particularly among the urban poor and migrant populations. This can result in high levels of crime. And what you find in Thailand and in Cambodia is the crime is generally not, they're in your face, they're going to shoot you in the head if you don't give them your money. Although that does happen occasionally. For the most part, it's they pick your pocket, they set you up, or somebody drives by, like in Vietnam, a big thing. And this happened to Chuck, where he had a nice camera. I think it was a Canon 5D. Yeah, it's a $3,000, $4,000 camera, something like that. $3,000, I think. Had it around his shoulder. He's standing there out next to the street. Some motorcycle guy drives by, ripped it right off his shoulder. Boom, gone. So these are the kind of crimes that take place a lot of time. Now, you know that there are, all I'm going to say is one word, because I don't want to be demonetized, and that one word has to do with the legal age for doing things. And there are a lot of people, and I know of a place in Cambodia especially, I don't really see it so much here in Thailand, but I know it takes place right in places like Nana Plaza, where there are people openly peddling, how how can I say, youngsters. And I'm not talking about, oh, she's a 23-year-old college student. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? So I don't want to get into it too much because, like I said, it's already a high probability they're going to demonetize this video. But so, you know, those are a couple of things, the black magic. And in a place like, everything is the same pretty much across the board. And this is throughout Southeast Asia. It's not specific to Thailand or Cambodia. In Cambodia, it used to be much worse. And now they have signs up saying, you know, you're not, you shouldn't bring someone in if they are not, if what you're doing is illegal. This is a Tag Heuer. Kiki Raikkonen limited edition Formula One watch that I've had now for about 12 years, something like that. And I plan on keeping it. I don't need it. If I need another watch, it's a really cheap watch, a little plastic, like a Casio that's maybe $100, $200, something like that. You know? But let's go on here because there's a lot of stuff to go over here. Corruption, obviously corruption. A lot of people, hey, on Morning Walk, can't chat. Thanks a lot there, Mr. Mitch. The corruption goes all the way to the top. And, you know, this is a case. If people didn't want corruption to take place, it would truly be stamped out. You know, it wouldn't happen. But a lot of people are prospering from it. And like I always say, if you're benefiting from it, then, hey, no problem. If you're on the opposite end, I mean, what about, you know, you got the Red Bull guy who supposedly they can't get a handle on. What about his family? What about the family of the people that were killed? How do you think those people feel? Oh, well, he's got more money than us. What about the doctor, the young doctor who was killed a short time ago? Ooh, that really pissed me off. And I think they offered her something like 300,000 baht or something like that. It's like 300,000 baht. She was an eye doctor. She was young. She had her whole life ahead of her. She would have earned a hell of a lot more than that. And this guy got off. Pretty much got off. He got off very, very easily. You know, these kind of things do not bode well. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, Thailand is very conscious about its reputation abroad, and especially their tourism reputation. And the thing is when you have people getting ripped off, people being shaken down, people being killed on islands that they're supposed to be having the time of their life on. And, I mean, these kind of things happen everywhere, but when it happens and it's world news, then they have to worry about their reputation, and rightly so. They need to fix things, and I think that's their motivation, because more tourists, happier tourists means more money, means more revenue for their country. Now, one of the things I'm going to talk in an upcoming stream I'm going to talk about is how Thailand was about 50 years ago, pre-1970, how it compares from then to now. I had planned to do that this time, but then I watched these videos and I thought, no, I want to talk about this first. And I think there are a lot of things that people kind of take for granted now. You know, Thailand has not always been a tourist hub. And so they were an agrarian culture. And so the changes that have been made, while many of them have been good, technology, infrastructure, they've been fantastic. Listen, I did manage to get a lot of footage from the drone yesterday before I crashed it. And when I look at what they're doing, I just think to myself, oh man, how did anybody come up with these ideas? You know, it's incredible the architecture and the technology that goes into all this. When you really look at it being built from the ground up to almost being completed now, it's really wild, man. I mean, it's so crazy, and you can see it being built step by step. When you consider that in the old days, Thailand, at least in Bangkok, the main transportation system was the canals, you know. And now you look at it, they've come a long way from, say, 50, 60 years ago. So, but let me go on here. Drug abuse and drug trafficking are significant problems in both countries, with the availability of illegal drugs affecting communities and individuals and fueling violence and crime. And listen, one of the reasons I don't go to Klong Toi at night is because I don't want to have to deal with any of that. I don't want to get knifed. You know, everybody's smiling at you in the daytime and everything, and you know, maybe the people who've been doing the speed, you know, smoking a yaba or whatever, taking the pills all night long, maybe they're still sleeping it off. I don't know. But what I do know is that at night it is I have been there at night, but I only for a short period of time, and I do not like it. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what. The thing is, everything, just like I always say, everything is good until it's not. And it only takes a split second for things to kick off. So, you should remember that. Oh, Thailand's such a wonderful place. Yes, it is. Until it's not. And for the most part, most people, I would say probably 98% of people, they're never going to have a problem here. They might overpay for something, or, you know, the other day I was complaining about how I think the guys, the taxi driver's meter is rigged because it cost me 70 baht to get home, and it's only like, sometimes it's a 47 baht fare. How come it cost me so much? I mean, there was a little bit of traffic, so I could understand maybe an extra 10 baht, even, you know, whatever, a little bit more. But then the other day I ride home, and there's a little bit of traffic, and it cost me 49 baht. I'm like, something ain't right, you know. And that's what little things like that are what some tourists will take in, and they'll remember. All it takes is one bad thing to happen. I mean, look at the Taiwanese girl that we've been talking about. She'll never come to Thailand again. I really doubt she's going to come back here. Now, she may in the future, you know, if the Thai government goes, oh, come back, we'll make sure you're well taken care of. But chances are she's not going to come back here. Why? Listen, I didn't have good experiences. I would say I didn't have a good experience in Hong Kong, and because of Hong Kong being under Chinese rule now and how they've cracked down, I would never go to China. I don't even really want to go to Taiwan. My wife didn't have a problem going there, but I don't really want to go there, and that's my thinking. And I've been telling a couple people. My sister has been saying, oh, you should go on TikTok, you'd be great, oh, you should check it out. And you know, I've thought about it. I thought, well, maybe I should, you know. Sometimes you just got to let go of your personal grudges and just do things that might be good for you, you know, for my channel. Even if I'm only going to be doing it for a couple more years. I don't know how long. Who knows? Anything's possible, right? And I just can't get past it. So all it takes is one thing. All it took for me was seeing one old lady getting beat up and an old man being beat up by the police, and I thought, this is bullshit. I don't want to live in a country that this happens. And I mean, look at America. It's horrible. At least in Thailand, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. Of course it does. Look at the cops, the one where they put the bag over the guy's head. Oh, yeah, okay. Jannar, I'll leave that to you. You can do the dancing, you know, dancing a G-string with your twig and berries flopping around. You can do that if you want, but I'm not going to do that. All right? So anyway, it's important to note that despite all the challenges that are faced, listen, every country has we all got problems. And the same goes with countries, nations. They all have their own particular set of problems. And one big problem around the world is just poverty and a lack of education. If that could be cured, I think that maybe the world would be a better place. I don't know. But, what am I going to do about it? I'm not somebody, I'm just here, presenting the information as I see it and as I know it and from what I've gathered. I'm not saying that what I can do is going to be beneficial to the world. Good morning. Good morning. So gambling is a major issue here. Gambling is a major issue in Thailand and Cambodia, and sometimes people they fall into that whole area where they can never get ahead again. Well, I'm looking at him right now. I didn't know about him, so thank you for bringing him up. Tristan Jones. There was another guy. Let me see here. I want to see what his. Let's see here. There was another guy that I forgot all about this guy, but there was a guy that was in prison here in Thailand. And I think he sold speed. I don't know if it was crystal meth, if it was yaba. I don't know what the deal was with it, but I was talking to someone about this. He brought the guy up, and I go, oh yeah, I remember that guy. And I did a little research on the guy, and the guy basically sold yaba to undercover police officers. And he was all in the whole thing, and he was in the whole scene. And when you're doing it, I know, because when I was young, I used to I dabbled in that myself. I used to sell a little of this and that when I was 22, 25, something like that. And generally, it wasn't worth the risk, at least to me. So, I mean, I'm very glad I got out of that whole thing. And I came out unscathed. I never got arrested or anything like that for it. But this guy got arrested, and he was going to be sentenced, I think, to life in prison. And he had a Thai girlfriend. So he ends up, he's in court. That's what happened. He was in court, and there was a guard. He ended up stabbing the guard to death. He and his girlfriend and somebody else, they all ran out of the courtroom, and they disappeared. And then the police caught up with them. They were out in like a wooded area, forest, jungle, whatever. And instead of the guy being captured alive, what he did was he put a gun up to his head, and the girl that he was with, I guess he, hugged her. She put her head up against his head, and he shot himself through the head. So he was killed. She apparently lived and is in jail. I don't know if she's still in jail. It's not all that long ago. I think it was about 5 years ago. And, that can happen anywhere, but something about this place, and especially Cambodia. If you go to Cambodia and you're out of control, you are a perpetual drug user. And I'm not talking about, I want to smoke a doobie, man, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, you want to take a hit of hash or something. I'm not talking about these things. Those are a bit softer. Now, some people that's their gateway to other drugs. But I'm talking about the hard shit. First of all, the yaba, there's a reason why they call it the crazy drug. Because it makes people go crazy. They get psychosis. in the long run, it creates psychosis. You start seeing things, you start hallucinating, you start going whacked out. Now, I knew a guy, he was a good friend of myself and another guy that now lives in Las Vegas. We were living in California. And this guy got involved. Listen, you know, we would do a line here and there. We'd have a little bit, you know, on a weekend or something. We would do that kind of stuff. This guy got involved in shooting up. And he got so bad that, I've talked about this, it's been a while since I talked about it, but he got so bad that me and my friend were going to physically, we were going to knock him out if we had to. But we were going to physically drag him to a rehab to get help. And then we thought about it and we thought, that's not gonna work. He's gonna have to want to do it himself, and us dragging him there is not gonna do anything except alienate him from us now. And you know, at least we can see what's going on with him. Well, I heard about him a couple of years ago from my friend who I still talk to. This guy's still in the whole scene. He can barely get by, and he's eking a living out doing odd jobs, and he spends every bit of money he has on a hotel room. Sometimes he lives on the street, and you know, he spends it on drugs. So, I understand it's something that people get into, and I'm not somebody who, you know, I don't want to be the guy who's, you know, Mr. Just Say No. That's, but I think if you approach it from the standpoint of how many positive things does it bring to your life, I think that in itself will stop a fair percentage of people. But when it comes to doing that kind of stuff here, think about something. It's bad enough being locked up at home. You really want to be in a prison with a bunch of Cambodians or a bunch of Thais who, I've been in a Thai prison before. I've been in several Thai prisons before. And no, I haven't been arrested and thrown in prison. But what I can say is, you don't want to be there. I still have the photos of the women's prison that I went into. I went into it several times. And they were sleeping like, it was something like 60 people in one room. All they did was put a mat down on the ground. They had a mat down next to that, a mat down next to that, a mat down next to that, mat. And then when they were done, they picked up the mats, they rolled them up, they put them away, they swept up the floor, and then the toilets, they were all squat toilets, and they were in the back of the room. There were no separations. There were, you gotta go, you go. You gotta take a dump, you're taking a dump in front of 50 other people, 60 other people. So you don't want to do that. So anyway, that's one of the darker things. Like I said, the black magic, that's pretty bad. I mean, you know, these things that happened were horrible. In one case, this was January 2014. This 55-year-old guy was hacked to death with axes by attackers, by villagers who were celebrating a rice harvest ceremony. He was killed by at least 6 people a short distance from the ceremony site. He was a traditional healer who fell under suspicion after a number of people died in his home area. They thought that he had magic powers. He got a divorce, and then the wife's new husband mysteriously died, so they thought they had to do with him. And this Cambodian investigator, his name was Chan Soveth, and he's with an investigator with the local rights group Ad Hoc, said those accused of black magic were often attacked, and there had been several cases of people being killed in recent years. Cambodian society hates witchcraft. So if you go to Cambodia, don't talk about witchcraft. Steer away from that subject if you know what's good for you. Okay? Now what is this here? I mean, all you have to do is look up the dark side of Thailand, the dark side of Cambodia, and all kinds of articles, far more than you would think. Now, corruption is a big thing. Obviously, we've seen that. The root of corruption is complex and can stem from a variety of factors, including poverty, lack of education, and weak governance, poor governance. Addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes addressing the underlying social and economic conditions that contribute to them, as well as strengthening the rule of law and promoting accountability and transparency in government and business. Now, if you follow my website at all, which I hope you are starting to now do because I put up news articles and I'm starting to get some things put together to get the site back to where it once was, except looking better. You know that recently a Thai woman, I believe she is or was married to a Western man, an American man. She was in Michigan. She ran over this Michigan State University kid and she killed him. Well, what does she do? What happens a lot of times with hit and runs in Thailand? Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate that. Celebrate the first super chat from Joe Ford. Well, I think he's super chatted far more than the first time, but thank you anyway. I appreciate that. Choke D to you. One of the things I want to do is, like I said, I'm going to have some interviews coming up. I'm still working on that, but I've got it nailed down for the most part. And what I may end up doing is I may end up starting to do interviews with people, and then I will stream the interview, the recorded interview. I may do that. Because it makes it a little bit easier for me to incorporate everything into it, to edit things and that kind of thing. So that should be coming fairly soon. The next couple of weeks, things will start to happen. But I also want to do topics like this, a little more serious topics, some more serious topics, but also I still want to get into the whole relationship dynamic, like, you know, how have I managed to stay married for so long when by most accounts I would think I'm not the most, what's the word for it that I would use, I'm not the most vanilla type guy. I have some opinions that, like, women in the United States, women in Asia might not agree with. I have some, I don't know. I don't know what's normal and what's not normal. But I would say, how is it that I've stayed married all these years? How is it that some guys, as they may be crazy as hell, or they may just be a little crazy, how have they managed to stay in relationships and they're fairly happy? I mean, happiness is a sliding scale, and it's all about your perception of what, how happy you are. And, yes, you're late. You're an hour late, Dowlow. Let me see. Let me get to the messages here. Compromise is the key. Yeah, Daniel, I think compromise is the key. I think something else is to know when to just let things go, and to know when to shut up, and also to be what I was going to say earlier, willing to acknowledge that you must take accountability. And what I see in a lot of, it's not only Thais, I don't want to just pin this all on the Thais, because I see it in the United States everywhere. It's this sense of entitlement, which I don't really see that here unless you start getting to the high-so Thais, where they feel like they're entitled to this and that, and it's just their right. Maybe that's something across the board everywhere. I don't know. But I see this lack of accountability. And when I was growing up, it's like, listen, I'll never forget it. I used to do things at home, and it'd be like, did you do that? And I'd be like, Yes, I did. I was a little kid. Yes, I did it. I didn't want to say it, but I had to. First of all, I knew they had me dead to rights, and second of all, I didn't want to lie about it. But I remember there was a time I used to work in a factory many years ago. I was 23 years old or something like that, 21 years old. I worked in this factory, and they were an electronic, what they were was they had electronic, the little table, but they're not little. Some of the tables are huge. They made the tables for like people that worked on electronics, and they had all kinds of things. The name of the place was Marshall Industries. It was in El Monte, and I worked there for a couple of years. Anyway, I used to, I drove they had a stand-up electric forklift, and I used to drive that thing around. I used to bring the big tables. They're like made of Formica or whatever the thing is. I would drive those things around. And then one day I'm driving and I was just hauling ass. I'm young. I'm like, I got to speed. I got to go, I had the need for speed. I'm hauling ass. And I don't know what I did. I turned right and I was supposed to turn left. And the next thing I know, there's a wall coming at me really fast. So I slam on the brakes and the forklifts go through the wall. They broke right through the wall. And I'm laughing about it now. But at the time I was like, oh shit. I back out the forklift, I go over and I park the forklift, and I'm like, I go in the back and I kind of think, what the hell should I do here? As I'm walking, I'm going towards the boss, where, I'm going to look for the boss. My buddy goes, I hope you are going to say something about that. I said, yeah, I'm going right now. The guy's name was Bob. He was an old man. He was like 70 years old. I go over to Bob, and I go, Bob, had a little accident. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Is there anything I can do? And I will take care of it. Okay. Now, had I just not said anything, I might have got fired right then. Now, that's not a big deal. That's not the same as, taking accountability for running somebody over and killing them. This woman, it pisses me off when I think about it. This guy's I think he was 22. He got his whole life ahead of him. Smart guy, you would think. Young guy, got his whole life ahead of him, and this woman just callously runs him over, and then she just goes, oh, I'm going to go back to Thailand. She jumps on a jet. She's back in Thailand right now. She's been here since January 5th. That burns me up, man. It really pisses me off when I see that, because, listen, the right thing to do is you get out and you go, shit, what did I do? What has happened here? And you wait for the cops. You call the cops, you wait for the cops. You take care of it, because you're going to have a lot more leniency on you, and it's the right thing to do. And, I was about 25 or so. I got a DUI. I went to this interior designer, this guy. He had a grand opening party. And I had the company truck. I drive the company truck over there, and there are just smoking hot chicks there. And he's pushing me on these girls. And it was like, wow, what a night. All these hotties, and I got numbers, and there's potential, and, I'm like, ooh, what a great night. I start getting smashed on champagne. Like an idiot, I jump in the truck. I go a couple of blocks. I don't know what happened. I smash into the side of a Circle K. Nobody around. All right, the truck's damaged. I'm screwed. My boss is going to be pissed. But I'm like, hey, I could always just get out of here. And I thought, nah, that's not the right thing to do. I called my sister. I said, hey, I'm smashed. She's like, just stay there. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And, next thing I know, the cops come. I get arrested. My boss says, do you have a problem with alcohol? I said, no, but, sometimes I like to drink, and I made a mistake by jumping in the truck. That was an idiotic thing to do. He said, okay, no problem. He goes, I used to drink a lot. No problem, buddy. He kept me on. I was honest with him. I told him, this is what happened. You know, there's lots of hot chicks there. You know, they're drinking, I'm drinking, we're having a good time. I was like, what do you... So you got to take accountability. And I think that it's not only in Thailand, but especially there are some Thais that don't take accountability for their actions. And I think that's something that, and yeah, let's look at the police. Just the other day with the girl who got shaken down. What's the first thing they did? Nope, we didn't do it. We didn't do it. Not us. No. Our guys didn't do it. That's the first thing they did. Deny. What is it you learn when you're young? Well, maybe some of you didn't learn this, but I learned it. What do you do if you got a girlfriend when you're young? Not now when you're married. It's not the wisest thing to do, but if you got a girlfriend and you're like, hey, listen, I got a girlfriend, but I got a few girlfriends. And she catches you. She knows. Deny. No, it wasn't me. Must have been somebody else. There's that accountability thing. All right, something people don't talk about. I don't know about cute barista. Beer is not here right now. Glad to hear it, Michael. This is Soy 101. And yeah, it's a little ways away. Yesterday it was 54 baht to get here. The other morning it was 49, and today it was 64. But I think it was because I came here like right at 8:30, and there's rush hour. She's not here today, at least not yet. I don't know. But she did ask me. She said, "Why'd you come here? You come to see me?" I was like, nah, this is the closest one. She goes, no, it's not. You could have went to Waitangi Hospital. And I went, I'm not going in a hospital to go to Starbucks. Although you guys might go nuts over all the nurses walking in and out, but I just don't like going to hospitals. So, anyway, one of the other things that you have to deal with, and again, it's not only Thailand, not only Cambodia, but we're basically referring to Thailand mainly, and to a lesser extent Cambodia, but it's all over Southeast Asia. It's all over the world, but elitism. It is true that both Thailand and Cambodia has instances of political and economic elites using their power and influence to maintain the status quo and preserve their own positions of power. That's in America too. And sorry, guys, Australia as well. This can result in a situation where the interests of the wider population are not prioritized, and where people may feel stifled and unable to participate in the political and economic life of their country. Listen, I feel kind of like now, like if I was to go back to the United States, what the hell am I going to do? I can tell you, I won't be voting for Biden. I won't be voting for the Democrats. I don't know if I'd be voting for a Republican. I don't know. I don't know what I'd be doing, but I can tell you damn sure I won't be voting for Biden. So, you know, the situation is more complex than just trying to, than the elites just trying to keep people down, because there are instances of people in power pushing for positive change and working to create a more just and equitable society. But I think sometimes they, they're overshadowed by the negative. Like I said, one bad thing and that's it, the level of trust in the police, whether it's here in Thailand, Cambodia. I mean, look at the United States. But I'm talking about Thailand and Cambodia. But let's look at the United States. It's horrible there, Plenty of reports of corruption with the police and unethical behavior, which undermines the public trust and the rule of law. If you are wondering, listen, am I going to get a fair shake? A lot of people won't come here. that really has an effect on people. I believe they sell Bodum French presses in Starbucks. I will never buy a French press of any kind in Starbucks, simply because they're going to charge an arm and a leg for it, and you could probably get something. I mean, you can get them for 300 baht, 400 baht. I don't know how much they sell them for here, and I don't particularly like those. I like what I got now. Honestly, I need to do an upgrade. I need to do an upgrade of my rope, which was given to me many years ago now. It's been many years since 2QA gave me that press, because he wasn't going to use it, I guess, and he gave it to me. It was brand new. Now it's well worn, and I need to get some new seals and new this and that. And I mean, it's 100, 150 bucks. So while I wanna fix it all up, it's not the highest priority. Although at some point it will become a priority. So now, let's see here. Let me see here. There has never been, think about this, there has never really been a period in recent years when the image of Thailand hasn't been tarnished by prostitution. How many foreign tourists would have come to see the wonders of Thailand, but didn't, had they not been repulsed by reports of Thailand's sex activities? Admittedly, the figure is unknown, but it is felt to be high. I don't know about that, but in the old days, maybe yes. The Tourism Authority of Thailand supposedly works diligently to erase the C-sex and Sun image of this country, but it can only do so much. In April of 1999, the Tourism Authority of Thailand sued the operators of a US-based internet website for using the official Amazing Thailand logo to promote sex tours. The Tourism Authority of Thailand is to be commended, I don't know if this is true, be commended for promoting cultural and family-oriented tours, and rightly so, but its efforts are hampered by advertisement found in sleazy magazines and the internet touting the excitements to be experienced in Thailand's massage parlors, go-go establishments, and brothels. Listen, I don't think that that's true. And I'll tell you why. Thailand has itself to blame for the amount of revenue the high revenue that they earn from the sex industry. They have themselves to blame for it. They and the soldiers from the Vietnam War and the tourists that came afterwards in the years immediately afterwards are the ones who helped create Pattaya and become more than just a fishing village. You got Nana Plaza, you got Pat Bong, you got in Hui Kwang, they got places. They got Ratchata, you got all kinds of massage bars. You got Soy Cowboy. You got all these places. You're gonna tell me that if they didn't want to shut them down, if they wanted to shut them down rather, that they couldn't do so? They could. They don't want to. There's too much money coming in. Let's face it. And prostitution, being able to get laid in Thai society, is something that's been going on for hundreds of years, long before foreigners came here. And I still maintain that the greatest number of people frequenting the prostitutes are Thais. It's not the foreigners. It's not as dirty foreigners. And back in the day, I'm not talking about now because times have changed a bit. And well, I don't want to go so far to say, all Thai girls are easy. Listen, you got the right je ne sais quoi, which might mean money, it might mean great looks, it might mean, a great body, a big schlong, it might be whatever. You got the right something. There's always going to be women that aren't that difficult to get. It's not that difficult to get in their pants. But back in the day, in the days when virginity was actually worshipped by Thai women and by men. The women held on to it, you know, like men hold on to their balls. Back in those days, a man wanted to get laid. You know, he had his needs. The guy's 25 years old, he hasn't got married yet. He's seeing some girl that, you know, is 22. She's yet to be fouled. He needs it. He's like, listen, I'm a man. I got to get a little something, something. What does he do? He goes to a prostitute. That's how it used to be. He used them for what their purpose was. Then he could go back to his girl. They didn't talk about it. She didn't need to know about it. He had his fun, you know, he took care of his manly needs. And then he went on with the relationship. Now, supposedly once they got married and he consummated the marriage, you know, then that was it. But, you know, in the older days, it used to be multiple wives and, you know, girlfriends. And, you know, now in recent times, it's been, you got a kick, you got this, you got that. You know, you got the special friend, you know. Because there are a lot of women here now. They're like, listen, I got my life the way I want it. A guy's just going to do nothing but screw it up. So, you know, yeah, I might meet, there's one guy that I see, and he's a nice guy, and he feels the same way I do. He just needs a little something, something. He wants a little companionship, a friend to go out with once a while. Once a week, they see each other, they do their thing, and boom, they move on. That's a little bit different now. There's brothels everywhere. There used to be a brothel on Side 2, Happy Land Side 2. I feel better saying Side Song, but it's across the street from a little hotel that's like $500 baht. It's $4.99 a night, and I go by there almost every day. And that it used to be called like Santa Land or something like that. There's a place right over by where I used to live, across from the hospital. Now, it's a grungy place, but it's big. And the one that's on Happy Land Road, that place is no longer in business, and they're starting to build in front of it, and they've got a restaurant, and they've got all kinds of stuff there. So things are changing. Now, I don't know. I did not do the research to find out and you know, you're never going to get a straight answer. You're never really going to get the exact figure. But I'm wondering if the number of women on the game, whatever level of game it might be, has decreased. Or at least the number of women who are working in bars and go-go's and brothels and massage parlors and that sort of thing has decreased in the last, say, 10 years. Whereas it increased. I would think because of the availability online to do business online as a freelancer, that it would be much easier for the women, where they don't have to work for somebody. They can work on their own. So, you know, anytime you're going to have drugs, gambling, loan sharking, anytime you're going to have that, there's going to be elements of crime that creep into it. So I don't know. They've already limited this video. You know, YouTube just did a little survey. And they ask all these questions. And they want to know, hey, what do you think we can do better? And I'm like, stop limiting my videos. You limit my videos, I'm talking about subjects that you should be able to talk about online. Stop censoring. I hate that. I've already started watching my mouth. I don't use the F word. I barely say, you know, shit. But they want to limit everything you say. And there is an element of that in Thailand and also in Cambodia. It's not just YouTube. You know, it's like around the world. It's like, we don't want you to say that. Why? I don't care what you want. I'm going to say what I want to say. I got the freedom to say whatever I want. Now, obviously there's a limit. You know, you don't go into a theater and yell fire if there's no fire. You know, that kind of thing. But there's got to be a limit to where they can go. And I think that when it comes to YouTube and all these social media platforms, they're anyway, I don't want to go on about that. It's just going to irritate me even more. All right, let me continue here. Some of the problems in Bangkok, the main dark areas, like I said, crime, prostitution, the traffic. So we shall say, traffic, the human element of that. Drugs. There's a big drug problem in Bangkok, and you may not see it because you may not be going to areas where you're going to see a lot of it out in the open. But there are many areas that, I mean, you know, and Kong Tui is one of them. Let's see here. I already talked about Pattaya a little bit. You know, people go to Pattaya. I've heard. How many times have you heard the story of I'm going to go work in my sister's or my aunt's restaurant, or a friend of my aunt, she wanted me to go to Pattaya so I could work in the laundry, and then the next thing you know, it's like they're in a place and they're going, yeah, you gotta, you know, you're working with foreigners. What? Yeah. Oh no, I can't do that. And a couple days later, boom, that's it. It's on. They've changed. You know, once they're there for a day or two, 3 days, that's all it takes, man. They you know, they may not be 100% for it, but they're in it. So, and all these things are not really unique to Pattaya or Phuket or wherever. But like in Pattaya, and to a lesser extent in Phuket, these kind of places are everywhere. Pattaya's it's Sin City. Listen, if I think about Pattaya, now granted I'm jaded, I've been here a long time, and my thinking is different than some other people. But when you tell somebody, I'm going to Pattaya, what is the first thing they say? Well, have a good time. What are you going to go do there? You're going to go to Walking Street? What? Many lady. You know, and you got to be careful. Something else, you know, Chiang Mai being fairly close to the border, they got, when it comes to the sexual aspect, and I'm not going to get into the wording and all that, but I think you know what I mean. The borders are very close, so it makes it quite easy for things to happen. And there's a lot of poverty in some of the villages. Well, if you want, you can always get that in Bangkok. There's no reason why you can't have that in Bangkok. It's everywhere. Man, you know, you go to any little city and they'll have something. They may have an area. Go to Hua Hin. They got an area. Go to Chiang Mai, plenty. There's plenty of it. You know, wherever you want to go, they got it. And so it's not going to be eradicated. I don't think it's ever going to be eradicated. Now, I did see recently that there are various organizations that are pushing very hard to have the girls that are working in the nightlife industry be taken care of, and to have it legalized to where they have more rights than they have now. Because you know there's a lot of things that happen that nobody talks about. You know, girls miss a day, they get fined this much. They don't sell enough drinks, they can lose their job, they can get fined, they can get all kinds of things. They got to go with a certain amount of customers per month or whatever. You know, there's all kinds of things going on. So now I'm going to tell you a few things. And you know, if you got half a brain, you got some common sense, which seems to be not so common. And I know that you're probably not watching this. I don't know, maybe you are. If you got a really serious drug issue, you're probably not watching my stream. Maybe you are. But this place and Cambodia is not the place for you. And if there's any other reason, if there's no reason other than this, it would be the what if. What if you get busted and you've got a certain amount on you? Just the other day, I saw that the health minister, Anatin Charwinakun, he said if you have more than one tablet of speed, you will be considered a dealer. Think about that. Now, I'm not saying that we're, everybody here is a user and we're all doing this. I'm just saying for people who are into this kind of thing, you might not want to come here. You might want to go somewhere like Oregon in the United States. You might want to go somewhere where the policies are more lenient and they have a tolerance, and you might get a little fine or they might give you a slap on the wrist, and that's it, instead of throwing you in jail and locking away the key. Because you don't want to end up in prison anywhere, especially here in Thailand. The other thing is to try to stay mellow, no matter how frustrated and angry you may get. Try not to yell, try not to scream, try not to escalate a disagreement. Because what I've found is, even if you're pissed off, usually you can escalate. You can choose to de-escalate. You can choose to stay right where you are and not escalate, and you'll be able to work things out. But if you remember this, you'll be a lot better off. And not everybody can do that. And I admit, in the beginning, when I first came here, I was not the most mellow person. And, I know some of you have seen me get a little irritated. And most of the time, I would say some of the time, I could have just toned it down a notch. But there were a few times when I felt the need to stand up for myself and, fight back, if you will. And I don't want to. I don't want any of those situations. Some of them I could have handled a little bit differently, but, I think if you remember to try to de-escalate, not to yell, not to scream, especially don't get violent, don't get aggressive, physical, and remember that what sets you off, this is something that most people don't think about, but what sets you off and what sets someone else here, like a Thai, or especially in Cambodia, and in here to a lesser extent, but if you say the F word in Cambodia, man, they want to fight, man. And I've had it happen. And like one guy go, "What? I'm not even talking to you, man." And then I was like, "Get the fuck away from me. I wasn't even talking to you, buddy. I was talking to somebody else." And he was all spazzed out about it. So you got to be careful, all right? What sets you off and what sets them off is usually not one and the same. If you're doing a business deal, make sure you do your due diligence, make sure you're covered across the board. That might mean finding a reputable lawyer, which that in itself is a task, but no dodgy land deals. Make sure you get the CHA note. Make sure everything's on the up and up. And that will help alleviate the revenge actions that may come your way. Understand that sometimes I don't like this one, but this is the truth. Understand that sometimes no matter how you slice it, you're going to lose. You're in a losing situation. You will not win. So the best thing to do is to minimize the loss and move on down the road. That might mean that you have to pay a little bit of money, but they're asking for, you give me 5,000 baht, everything okay. No. I'll give you 1,000. 2,000. No. 1,200. Okay, my friend. Okay. You might have to do that. It's happened to me once or twice. I talked about the time I got into a motorcycle accident in Udon Thani, and I was pissed because this guy's driving with like 4 people on his motorcycle and him. So there's 5 people on the bike. And there was like, they had a baby, there was like a young kid, there was a grandma. And I'm driving along, minding my own business. They drive plow right into me. There was nowhere for me to go because I went right, I would have smashed into an oncoming car. If I went left, I would have went deeper into them, and it would have been a worse accident. And they acted like I owed them money for their motorcycle. And I was like, no, I'm not paying you anything. And then my girlfriend at the time, she came, and I said, don't you give them any money. Don't you give them any money. Because the motorcycle I was on still needed to be fixed. And she ended up giving them 2,000 baht without me knowing it. The police came, actually, and the police said, if you can work it out, good. If you can't, go to the police station. Okay. I was like, fine, whatever, you know. I tried working it out, and I'm bleeding, and all of them are okay. But I'm almost scraped up. I got blood all over me, and I'm like, I'm willing to fight this guy. I'm like, the guy driving, I'm like, I'm not paying you anything. And my girlfriend comes, she's a Thai girl. She starts talking to him. She tells me, just, you know, just let me talk to him. Next thing you know, she pays him 2,000. I'm like, what'd you do that for? She's like, listen, this way there's no problem now. You know, you don't want to pay them. It's going to be a problem until you pay them something. I'm like, why do I have to pay? Because you're a foreigner. You know. It's not the way it should be, but that's the way it is. So I thought, listen, for 2,000 baht, I didn't like it. I was pissed off about it. But I took the little hit, and I went on my merry way. Now, one of the last things, and we've talked about this before, and that is dealing with the Thai women, the way you deal with them. Especially if you're dealing with if you're some knucklehead who thinks, your girl's different, you get involved with some chick working in a bar, and you don't know what you're doing. Guys who know what they're doing, they generally have less problems because they know how to play the game. They know the rules and they know how to play the game. Knuckleheads who come here, I've been here for 2 weeks. Hey, Carlos, how you doing? How's things? You've been coming here a while. You know the ropes. You know that there's pressure on the girl from her friends, from her family. What are you doing there? I work in the laundry. How come you never pay any money? They're under pressure to take care of their family. They're under pressure. They're all kinds of, hey, make that money. 21 days. Okay, I was wondering. I never keep it straight. 21 days. Be 31. So about the third of next month. So, they got their own share of issues, and you don't know. They could have a gambling problem. They could have a drug problem you don't know about. They could be involved. They could owe, money on the farm, on the buffalo, on the tractor, on Papa's Isuzu. It could be any number of things. And here you are. You come along, and you're the knight in shining armor. And I was just talking to it was the older lady yesterday. I said, listen, honey, the problem is guys come here. They promise you the world. You come here, you're with some chick, you're like, oh my God, what a night last night. Oh my God, she's the most wonderful. Oh, it's so good. The sex is so good. It's fabulous. This guy walks up smoking a vape pen. And cops are all around this place. I'd like to know if they would do anything if they caught him. And then here you come along, promising them the world. Oh yeah, honey, I come back 2 months. Maybe 3 months. I come back, no problem. They're like, oh, you can help me? I know money. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, she's different, she's beautiful, she's lovely, she's this, she's that. Oh yeah, she's different. So you help her out, you do your thing, and in 3 months, you're like, listen, I got a girlfriend back home. I got a girlfriend here. What am I doing? I can't get away again. What am I going to tell my girlfriend? What am I going to tell my wife? Oh, I'm going to leave and go back to Thailand because I got some chick over there. Nah, you're not going to do that. So what are you going to do? You're going to go scuba diving. How many times can you go scuba diving every year in Thailand without the wife wanting to go? Right? So you don't come back. Then the girl's like frantic. It's been 5 months. You don't come back. When you send money again? Now you pissed them off. Because you're lying to them. And it could be a much more short-term thing, you promise them you're going to come back, then they see you out in some club somewhere, you never came back, and they're pissed off. You're promising them that you love them. And she could be some chick who's, you would think she's a good girl. They don't always have to be working girls. And listen, working girls aren't always bad. And girls who aren't working, like in the clubs or whatever, in the red light area, they're not always good. However, there are some good working girls. They're actually truly good women. They're just in a bad situation. Or maybe they made some bad decisions, whatever it is. But when you have a situation arise and you don't handle it like you promised you would, some of the girls can be quite irrational. Instead of thinking, I'll get another guy, I will do what I can, I shall prevail, I will survive. No, they think, this guy is my only shot at having a better life. And he played games with me, he broke my heart, and he's still here, and I know he have another lady. And so what do? They go after you. Now, that's one way it happens. The other way it happens is if you are just a dude and you got some girlfriend and you're living with her, or you stay with her 6 months out of the year or whatever, and then she knows you're working 3 months on, 3 months off or something like that. And then you come back and she knows you got girls on the side and she ain't putting up with it. She loses face. You leave her in the lurch. Things like this happen, and then the next thing you know, hi Betkin. Now, what does that mean? It means give the dick to the duck to eat. It's happened numerous times because once it goes down into that gullet of the duck, there's no reattaching that bad boy. Think about in the old days. Think about 100 years ago. Some chick finds out, she gets tired of it, that's it. All right, I know you got like 10 other girls and you never spend time with me, you never give me money, you're spending all your money on broads, blah, blah, blah. One night you go to sleep, next thing you know, you wake up and you're in agony and there's blood all over the bed and some duck is having your tool as having your Johnson as a meal. And obviously these are some, in worst case scenarios, you can end up dead. But, I've seen many women who they thought that their guy was going to be true to them. I'm talking about in the bars. I'm not talking about supposed good girls. And I'm hesitant to use that phrase anymore, good girl, bad girl, because that's not really the truth. But I've seen many times at the clubs, probably 5 times, where some chick takes a Heineken bottle or a Singha or something, she cracks it over the guy's head, slices him wide open, and he's wondering what the hell what did I do to warrant that response? What happened? Well, she knows what you've been doing. She don't appreciate it. So, these are some of the things. Elitism, police, corruption, gambling, prostitution, the usual vices. And then you got, places like Koh Tao and Phuket and where organized crime is. And like in a place like Phuket, it seems like, and Koh Tao, it's like Police aren't going to do anything. They don't have the manpower. And they're like, listen, this guy's, you know, it's the bullet or the payoff. You take a payoff, or you get a bullet in your head. You get buried. What are you going to do? It's not like you got the entire force behind you, and you know you're working with the DEA and FBI. You know, that's the other thing. You promise, oh yeah, I love you, long time, and then you know, on your wedding day, you're screwing some chick, some other chick, and she finds out. You know, she's getting ready, and it's the happiest day of her life, and you're out getting a root. Listen, it's happened, and you know, Thai guys are no better. You know, you hear it all the time about where Thai guys, they bail on their chicks. I talked about where I used to live in this place in Udon Thani, and the chick I was seeing, her sister, she got knocked up. She loved the guy. She thought the guy loved her. She got knocked up the day that she had the kid. The guy bailed. She's never seen him again. At least, you know, when I was in the picture, she had never seen him again. So, anyway, I don't want to belabor this whole darkness thing because there's a lot of light to be had. But you do have to be careful. And guys who have half a brain most of the time, you know, trust your intuition, your gut feeling, your instinct. There are some guys and some women who they just don't get it. And I'll tell you what. Not to put her down or anything, but the woman that I was talking to, you know, desperation. She told me, I don't want to die alone. I'm lonely. You know, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you should forego all critical thinking. Hey, this guy's never been here, and he's asking me what I do for work, and he's constantly talking to me and saying he's going to come here, but he doesn't, and maybe the guy's 20 years younger than her. Now, why would a 50 or 55-year-old woman, a guy, want a 75-year-old woman? How often does that happen? So the chances that it's legit are slim to none. And I feel bad for her, but you know, in some, you gotta take responsibility. In some cases, she's responsible for how she deals with these things. This guy ain't from Manchester in California, I guarantee you that. I saw his Facebook. This guy ain't from Manchester. He's talking about Manchester football. He's some British guy or somebody who thinks about football, and you know, he's just using that as a city. He's playing her. Guarantee you, he's playing her. Bet my life on it. Anyway, you know, you can lead a horse to water. You can try to help a chowderhead. That doesn't mean that they're going to take your advice. You know? So listen, I got a few minutes left here. My phone, I've got about 15%, 20% left on my phone right now. And I don't have my charger here. So it's not like I wanted to do as long of a stream as it took. But I'm not going to be able to do that because I don't have a charger. Sometimes the girls will have an iPhone charger they can lend me for a period of time. But so I have to finish up in a few minutes. I'd appreciate the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. I'd appreciate the subscribing if you haven't done so already. I really would appreciate that. And if you have not already, I'm making it a point to put up more membership stuff. I'm working on the membership stuff on the site right now to get everything back to where it was before. I just put up those videos. I put up videos in the member section of my channel. $3.99, man. $3.99 a month. If you're really strapped for cash, don't do it. If you are, you know, there's $1.99, $3.99, whatever. You can do whatever you want. All right. So that's the way to go. Love your streams too much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dallo. I appreciate that. Here's your barista of the day, Gennaro. Thank you very much. But yeah, become a member of the channel. And or buy me a coffee. I got everything's down in the description. I've done this a million times. I've said this a million times. I don't know unless something happens in the next, what's today? The 9th or the 10th. Unless something happens in about the next week, I don't think I'll be taking off. I'll be going to the Mon Festival because I just don't have the cash. And sorry, but that's the way it goes. And I know some of you might be like, oh, damn. What a shame. But I think the majority of you don't really care. It doesn't really matter. Eventually, I'll go somewhere else. Might be a few weeks, but I'll get there. But like I said, you know, and you go to my website. Go to my website. Get some merch. You don't have to give me anything. Get some merch for your money. Get one of my books for your money. Or buy me a coffee. Or use the CASHAPP. Or become a sponsor on YouTube. Or use the Patreon. Or just join one of my social media thingies. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Whatever. Or just keep watching. That's enough. We always hear about the business girl playing the Westerners, but there are equal amount of Westerners playing their own games on girls in Thailand. We only hear one side of the story. Well, I would say that for the most part, it's the women playing the men most often. But like I'm talking about this elderly woman, the barber. Yeah, I mean, I think she's getting played, and it does happen. But I think for the most part, it's probably 80% women playing the men because men have a fair bit more. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate that. Men have a fair bit more desire and desperation. And one of the things, I'm going to do a little more research about this subject, but one of the things that I do want to talk about is the whole American woman thing and how they've changed and what is driving people to go, I don't want you, honey. I don't care how hot you are. I want to get into that a little bit and why people are going overseas. And they're not just coming to Thailand. They're going all over the world, obviously. Not everybody likes Asian chicks. Some people like Brazilians. Some people like, Argentinians. Some people like Ecuadorians. Some people like Costa Ricans, Dominicans, whatever. They like European chicks. So all in all, to each his own. And, women want men to understand. This is what I will say. Women want men to understand them. You always hear about that. He don't understand me. Well, honey, you need to learn to understand him too. What do most men want? They need to get it right. Anyway, alrighty. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's topic. I liked it. It was different, and hell, I could be going back to the States for a while to work within a company. I'm looking for remote work and travel to the U.S. We shall see. Yeah, and that's another thing. Remote work. I think she's gone now. Remote work is the way to go. Listen. If I didn't have a YouTube channel, I'd be writing. Writing more often because I'd have more time. There's a lot of things that you can do remotely. But if you want it bad enough, I think you'll do it. If you want to make a change in your life, there's so many people in the States that they don't even consider it. They don't even consider, maybe I could live somewhere else. And I think that the mentality is starting to change now. People know, and some of it is because of the virus. But I think the mentality has changed, and it's continuing to change. And I think in the future, with AI and the internet becoming more and more prevalent, I think sky's the limit. You can live wherever you want, do whatever you want pretty much. And I look at it like this. I may not, if you're technically speaking, I may not live outside the matrix, but I certainly live on the border. And that's okay for me, at least for now. So anyway, I better go. Thank you very much, guys and girls. Appreciate you watching and appreciate all the comments. Mr. Mitch, hey, thank you very much, Caramel Dreams. Right at the buzzer. Bzz. I love it. And yeah, that helps. Every little bit helps. I appreciate it. And yeah, tomorrow's another day. I may stream on Sunday. I don't know, though. I think there's a big fight on Sunday. I'm trying to think. Is it the 11th? Yeah, big fight on Sunday, so I don't know. I don't want to stream tomorrow. It's too soon. I need to build up my whatever it is. I need to refresh my memory, refresh my hard drive. But in the next couple of days, the Super Bowl I'm not worried about. I want to see the fight between Volkanovski and what's his name? Makayev. Yeah, the guy from Dagestan. I want to watch that fight. There's some really good fights coming up, so I want to watch those. But, you know, business calls, so I'll figure it out, let you guys know. Like I said, I got a bunch of interviews coming up. I mean, a lot of interviews coming up. I got at least 5 coming up. And I got a couple things worked out now, so it'll be easier for me to stream and to do these interviews and to not have all the hiccups that I've had in the past. Things do seem to work better. Listen, on YouTube alone, you can bring somebody into your stream. If you know that you're going to bring them in beforehand, you can bring them in to your stream and talk to them, and the quality is excellent. I've done a couple of tests with it. So, you know, I think as time passes and technology improves, it'll be easier and easier to do things, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks again, and see you next time. Choke B, Lil Jerk and Mine.